Are you tired of watching your team make the same predictable moves while other franchises swing for the fences with calculated risks that could either catapult them to greatness or send them spiraling into mediocrity? The Vancouver Canucks are reportedly eyeing a move that perfectly embodies this high-stakes approach, targeting Josh Norris, a supremely talented but injury-plagued center whose career has become a frustrating riddle of what-ifs and missed opportunities. This isn't just another routine trade rumor. This is the Canucks potentially betting their immediate future on a player who has tantalized the hockey world with flashes of brilliance while simultaneously breaking hearts with his inability to stay healthy. Josh Norris represents everything that makes NHL general managers lose sleep at night. Undeniable talent wrapped in concerning durability questions that could either unlock a championship window or become another cautionary tale about chasing potential overproduction. The Buffalo Experiment, a cautionary tale unfolding the Buffalo Sabres' acquisition of Josh Norris at the trade deadline, was supposed to be their masterstroke, the kind of move that signals a franchise's commitment to ending their playoff drought. Instead, it has become a perfect illustration of how quickly high-profile trades can turn into organizational nightmares when injury concerns prove to be more than just bad luck. Norris was the centerpiece of the trade that sent Dylan Cousins to Ottawa, a move that Buffalo hoped would provide them with a more reliable offensive catalyst. The 26-year-old center had shown flashes of being a legitimate top-six player, with his 35 points in 56 games last season demonstrating the kind of production that teams covet from their middle six forwards. But here's where the story takes a frustrating turn. After playing just 3 games following his acquisition, Norris found himself back on the injury report, continuing a pattern that has defined his career and raised serious questions about his long-term viability as a cornerstone player. For a Sabres organization that has been starved of playoff hockey for 14 consecutive years, this development represents more than just bad timing. It's a potential roadblock to their rebuilding efforts. The Sabres situation with Norris perfectly illustrates the cruel reality of modern NHL roster management. Teams invest significant assets in acquiring players they believe can change their trajectory, only to watch those investments disappear into training rooms and medical facilities. Buffalo's patience with injury-prone players is understandably limited, especially when their playoff drought continues to extend and fan frustration reaches boiling points. The Vancouver connection. More than just hockey sense, what makes the potential Norris to Vancouver connection particularly intriguing goes beyond simple hockey analytics. The personal relationship between Norris and Quinn Hughes, forged during their college years as roommates and close friends, adds a human element that could prove crucial in any potential trade negotiations. This isn't just about acquiring talent. It's about bringing in a player who already has established chemistry with one of Vancouver's most important players. Hughes has emerged as a cornerstone of the Canucks' defensive core, and having a center who understands his tendencies and can maximize his offensive contributions could provide benefits that extend far beyond individual statistics. The college connection also suggests that Norris might be more motivated to succeed in Vancouver than in other potential destinations. Playing alongside a close friend in a market where he could potentially revitalize his career creates the kind of personal investment that sometimes makes the difference between success and failure for players trying to overcome adversity. Trevor Beggs, host of Locked On Canucks, has identified this relationship as a key factor in why Vancouver should consider pursuing Norris. The combination of talent, personal connection, and potential availability creates what Beggs sees as an ideal trade scenario for a Canucks team that has been actively reshaping its roster in recent seasons. The injury enigma. Calculating risk versus reward. The elephant in the room when discussing Josh Norris involves his injury history, which has transformed him from a promising young center into a question mark that makes general managers nervous. His pattern of productive play followed by extended absences has created a complex evaluation challenge for teams considering his acquisition. From a talent perspective, Norris possesses the skills that successful NHL centers require. His ability to contribute offensively while maintaining defensive responsibility makes him valuable in multiple game situations. His size and skating ability provide the kind of physical presence that becomes increasingly important during playoff hockey when games become more physical and space becomes premium. However, the injury concerns cannot be dismissed as mere bad luck. The frequency and nature of his health issues suggest underlying problems that could continue to plague his career. For a team like Vancouver, which needs reliable production from their middle six forwards, acquiring a player who might miss significant time represents a significant gamble. The risk-reward calculation becomes even more complex when considering Vancouver's competitive timeline. The Canucks appear to be building toward a playoff run, which means they need players who can contribute consistently rather than sporadically. Trading assets for a player who might not be available during crucial stretches of the season could derail their championship aspirations. The Buffalo patience factor. Organizational limits. Buffalo's situation with Norris provides crucial insight into how his potential trade value might develop throughout the season. The Sabres invested significant assets in acquiring him, which creates natural reluctance to move him quickly. However, their organizational patience has limits that could create opportunities for interested teams. The 14-year playoff drought hanging over Buffalo creates immense pressure on the organization to show tangible progress. Every missed game by key players like Norris represents not just lost production, but lost opportunity in a market where fans have endured more disappointment than any fan base should reasonably tolerate. If Norris continues to struggle with injuries, or if Buffalo's season starts poorly, the Sabres might find themselves in a position where they need to cut losses rather than continue investing in uncertainty. This scenario could create exactly the kind of buying opportunity that teams like Vancouver are positioned to exploit. The timing of any potential trade becomes crucial. Early season struggles might make Norris available at a discount, while strong play and good health could price him out of Vancouver's range. The Canucks front office needs to monitor both Norris's individual performance and Buffalo's overall trajectory to identify the optimal moment to make their move. The Canucks' middle six dilemma. Vancouver's interest in Norris stems from a clear organizational need for improved center depth. While they have talent at the top of their lineup, their middle six has been an area of concern that could limit their playoff potential. Adding a player with Norris's skill set could address this weakness while providing the kind of depth that championship teams require. The Canucks have demonstrated willingness to make bold moves in recent seasons, reshaping their roster through trades and free agency signings. This aggressive approach suggests they're not afraid to take calculated risks if they believe the potential rewards justify the investment. Norris's age profile also aligns with Vancouver's competitive window. At 26, he's entering what should be his prime years, which means he could provide several seasons of productive play if he can overcome his injury concerns. This timing makes him more attractive than older veterans who might provide short-term fixes but limited long-term value. The trade mechanics. Making the numbers work, any potential trade involving Norris would require careful consideration of salary cap implications and asset allocation. Vancouver would need to ensure they're not overpaying for a player whose availability remains questionable, while Buffalo would want to recoup value from their significant investment. The Canucks' recent roster moves have created flexibility that could facilitate a Norris acquisition. Their willingness to make difficult decisions about veteran players suggests they're prepared to be creative in constructing trade packages that work for both organizations. The negotiation dynamics become particularly interesting if Buffalo's season starts poorly. The Sabres might be motivated to move Norris at a discount rather than risk losing him to injury again, while Vancouver could position themselves as the destination that offers the best combination of immediate help and future value. The championship implications for Vancouver. The Norris situation represents more than just roster management. It's a test of their championship ambitions. Teams that win Stanley Cups often do so by making calculated risks on players who provide more value than their acquisition cost would suggest. The Canucks appear to be building a roster capable of playoff success, but they need the kind of depth scoring that players like Norris can provide. If he can stay healthy and produce at his demonstrated level, he could be the kind of addition that transforms a good team into a great one. However, the flip side of this equation involves the risk of sacrificing assets for a player who might not be available when the team needs him most. Championship windows are precious and limited, which means every roster decision carries amplified importance. The fan perspective, embracing uncertainty, the potential Norris acquisition represents the kind of move that divides fan bases and creates passionate debates about organizational direction. Some fans will embrace the calculated risk, viewing it as evidence of their team's commitment to winning. Others will worry about trading assets for a player whose injury history suggests trouble ahead. This tension reflects the broader challenge of NHL roster management, where teams must balance immediate needs against long-term stability. The Canucks' willingness to consider Norris suggests they're prepared to make bold moves in pursuit of their championship goals. The Josh Norris situation perfectly encapsulates the complexities of modern NHL roster management. The Vancouver Canucks are reportedly considering a trade that could either provide the missing piece for their championship puzzle or become another cautionary tale about the dangers of chasing talent over reliability. The personal connection between Norris and Quinn Hughes adds an intriguing dimension to this potential move, suggesting that sometimes the most important factors in player acquisition extend beyond statistical analysis and injury reports. If Vancouver can acquire Norris at the right price, and he can overcome his health concerns, this trade could be remembered as the move that unlocked their championship potential. The coming months will reveal whether Buffalo's patience with Norris remains intact, or if their playoff drought creates the kind of desperation that leads to opportunity for teams like Vancouver. The Canucks front office must carefully balance their desire for improvement against the very real risks of investing in a player whose availability remains uncertain. This story perfectly illustrates why being a hockey fan is simultaneously thrilling and terrifying. Every potential move carries the promise of greatness and the threat of disaster, and sometimes the only way to find out which outcome awaits is to make the bet and see what happens. What's your take on this potential gamble? Do you think the Canucks should roll the dice on Norris's talent despite his injury history, or are there too many red flags for a team trying to build sustainable playoff success? I'm really curious to hear whether you'd be excited or nervous about this kind of high-risk, high-reward move. Let me know in the comments and hit that like button if you think Vancouver should go all in on this intriguing trade possibility.